Dire team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Dire team pick.
Yeah, this is a lineup that is very, very much a Sigma lineup through and through. Pretty much, like, not many teams are really picking up the Abaddon. He was really thought about a lot when he was first introduced into Dota 2, reintroduced into the Dota pool, pretty much. And a lot of teams were really thinking about him, and especially with the rise of dual lanes coming up, Abaddon was always classically a very, very strong support for an off lane. So that kind of came with the rise of dual lanes. People were thinking a lot more about running dual lanes because of the change to off lanes and everything else. But since then, he's kind of fallen off, and this is very interesting. We're going to see a Riki picked up by Sigma, and I do think we're going to be seeing dual lanes. We're not actually going to be seeing a Shatter Demon Mirana combo, I don't think. The Shatter Demon is actually a really good setup for Riki Maru.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Lone Druid.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Real quick, AC, if you could check your Dota TV sound. Sounds like you're not going through into Dota TV.
Of times, and we'll hope that resolves the issue. Yep, I'm seeing the little cloud now on the side.
Awesome.
And, yep, unfortunately, whenever you're in the pick band, you actually can't see the little chat bubble, so it's hard to tell. But
yeah, I would really love if Valve could change that, just because it's like, you know, because sometimes it does break. Like sometimes it just like it is on, it's just not actually working. We have no way in the drafting phase to know whether or not it is actually broken somehow, or there's some sort of bug. So, but. We're back, and we have a little bit of pause, but I do agree with everything you were saying about Radiance here. This is a lineup that is very, very aggressive from Sigma, and it's now with the Lone Druid pickup, they don't have late game. Like the Lifestealer and Storm Spirit by themselves, you could argue, yeah, maybe Beastmaster, Riki, and the Mirana can fight up against that, but now with the Lone Druid last pick coming out from Alliance, that gives them a lot of really good late game, and which, again, concerns me, because my biggest thing has always been, if you don't have the late game, game, you need some sort of initiation. You need some sort of push in order to end the game. Now, Sigma do have a really strong mid-game lineup, and they don't fall off very, very quickly at all. So that, you know, they do have plenty of time to actually end the game. So it's not that big of a concern. But Sigma do have to be trying to shut down this Lone Druid from getting too big, because there's definitely going to be a big problem. They've already countered the Lifestealer really, really well with pretty much every single hero. I mean, they've got solid lockdown in Beastmaster that goes through Rage. The Shadow Demon Riki combo is perfect against Lifestealer because he can't Rage instantly out of Disruption because the silence will already be there waiting for him from the cloud. And heroes like Abaddon and Mirana have just good ways of being able to deal with the Lifestealer. Abaddon obviously has his ultimate, so Lifestealer's not going to aggro onto him too much, and Mirana has that mobility that is so key in dealing with the Lifestealer. So he is going to get kited around. He is pretty heavily countered. So when you talk about the Lone Druid and how important Radiance or any sort of build on him is going to be, I 100% agree, because I feel that the Lifestealer was targeted pretty heavily in the drafting phase by Sigma.
To me, it all comes down to map control. When you see a Rikimaru have the most success, and I've actually had the chance to cast a hero a few times. I mean, he's certainly a fairly rare pickup and becoming a slight bit more common. He did get a bit of a buff in the last patch and so on and so forth. But, you know, whenever he's the most effective is whenever he can get out across the map. I mean, he needs farm. He needs to find his items. He needs to find his GPM and his experience gain, and that's all well and good. But he needs to also just be that unfortunate terror on the map where you have to constantly worry about vision, constantly worry about sentries and dust and an early gem pickup and that kind of a thing. So if they're able to tuck Sigma back under their own towers, they get a couple of big wins, put them behind in golden experience early, and then just begin to push towers off of a well-farmed Admiral Bulldog Lone Druid, that's going to be their easiest path to success, I do believe. But the lanes have taken shape, and we can see already Bucking Mad bouncing between bottom and now into mid. It is going to be a 2-1-2 with Chen in the jungle on the safe lane, excuse me, for Alliance. So I expect we could see a lot of movement. Actually, Bucking Mad already bailing out, leaving Mirana to go one-on-one against the Lone Druid. Now, this could be a little bit of a chancy maneuver. This is going to give Bulldog a very nice chance to get off to an excellent start one-on-one in this safe lane.
Yeah, this is something that Alliance had a really, really smart decision on their lanes. Is pretty much they knew that Lifestealer's countered. Oh, maybe. Hold on, we got some action at top.
Disruption at top, EGM down to about half health. The damage just not there in full yet, unable to burst him down. Abaddon only level 1, already has 1 point into Aphotic Shield, but really just no chance of using it there. They knew that Loda at best was going to be zoning and not really attacking. So a little bit of early aggression, but EGM able to make it back under the tier 1, heal himself up. He'll be fine.
Yeah, they were so close to actually being able to get that disruption block. It's what you really aim to do when you have a couple melee heroes like this. Throw down the disruption and just surround that circle and hope that the illusions pop out. And with those 4 units clustered around one hero, you're able to get that block. And they unfortunately were unable to do so. And EGM also had that really good tango eat through some of those trees to make sure that he got a little regen and had a little bit more room to move. But they were so close to being able to pick up that first blood if they just had the block off. But going back to this, Alliance do the really smart thing. They recognize the fact they need to be able to prioritize the Lone Druid farm, and they also know that they're dealing with dual lanes from Sigma, but if they run the dual lane of Lifestealer and Bane up against the Riki, it's going to shut him down hard enough because of that Bane and Feeble coming into play, and Lifestealer's just kind of natural aggression in the lane. So they're going to try and shut down Riki, which forces Abaddon to go top, and now they have this tri-lane, which again, like you said, leaves Lone Druid this free lane against Miguel, where he has a big damage over this Mirana. You can already see he's harassing Miguel out as much as possible with his Spirit Bear because he picked up an early Orb of Venom, and he has a big lead on damage when it comes to CS as well.
We see the Lifestealer. And, this is a question that, you always have to wonder with Loda. Loda is not shy about grabbing a Midas in just about any situation. He's already picked up Brown Boots, could always transition and decide to start saving for a Midas. Now, usually when you see this, though, he'll go Phase Boots. This just isn't a game where I feel like Loda really is going to benefit a ton from an early Midas pickup, just because I think Sigma, as we've talked about and as you as you pointed out so very clearly, is really up against the gun here. They're up against a very superior late game team, and they can't afford to have this game go much past 30-35 minutes. So Loda instead going most likely for a phase build. We'll see what he wants to tack on with it, if it's going to be an armlet. I actually would really like a phase armlet approach from him. Drums I don't feel like are even going to be that necessary. It's going to be all about, again, the Lone Druid. And speaking of Lone Druid, this is just a terrifying situation to be in, even under the best of circumstances. With Admiral Bulldog leading CS 22 atop the board now. Theta trading even with S4 in mid, 22-20 right now. But yeah, I feel like Alliance is going to be very, very happy with the way this early game is treating them.
Yeah, notice the build coming up from Theta. He's actually prioritizing Call of the Wild because of that recent change. So he's actually, because of the fact you're actually going to be able to have 2 boars up at once and 2 hawks up at once, some people are actually considering this a bit of a nerf to the vision from Beastmaster, because your hawk doesn't survive as long, and you have to actually use that second hawk to put it in position ahead of time. But the extra boar is definitely a big advantage that Beastmaster is going to gain in the mid game, because it's not a unit that's normally talked about a whole lot, but it is very, very good at being able to harass and keep up pressure on the enemy team. And look what they're doing now. Loda is being left alone in this lane because they just force Bane back, but he's fine. Like, he has nothing to really be scared of until the Shadow Demon comes in, and Paz is now at bottom. So they're actually going to try and get that Shadow Demon arrow combo because they want to be able to shut down Lone Druid, but then again leaves Loda open. It's all because of the laning phase that Alliance chose. They dodged the dual lanes by running aggressive like this, and it's paying out in just huge numbers for them.
Right now, this is there's really not even a whole lot they can do outside of overcommitting to this bottom lane to slow the Lone Druid down. He's already found his level 6, and with a Chen in the jungle, Chen's actually doing fairly well in levels 2, coming up on level 4 just 5 minutes in. But with knowing that Chen's lurking about in the jungle, and with the Lone Druid to level 6 now, the threat of one route completely derailing, like say if they just want to send the Shadow Demon down there or something to try and put some pressure on, that can turn badly so unbelievably quickly that it's kind of an all or nothing situation they find themselves in at the moment. Talking about mid momentarily, as you said, Theta on the Beastmaster, I really like a mid Beastmaster. I feel like it's due for a bit of a comeback. He's especially effective against any Magic Immunity based hero, most especially the Lifestealer as mentioned, and has a lot of flexibility in what you can do with him in terms of builds. You can go with a Necro Book if you want to go with a push lineup. You can go with a Blink Dagger or Force Staff if you really have to have that jump and initiation, or more importantly, that counter initiation. Theta on this Beastmaster is going to be so important in counter-initiating S4 whenever he does ball lightning in. So he's very tanky, generally very survivable, makes everyone on his team better because of his aura, not to mention the vision, as you just talked about. I feel like the hero was buffed. Yeah, you could say the vision's a little more difficult, so on and so forth. But for the most part, the hero, I feel like it actually has a very solid place back here in mid. And I think Sigma's going to begin to bounce him around once he finds... once he finds his level 6. Here at bottom, we're going to see Ake spotted out by Miggle. And that's going to be our first blood. And Miggle finding a free one there. That's, that doesn't necessarily solve the big problem in that bottom lane, but it's certainly a step in the right direction and gets Miggle in a much better position.
Yeah, I mean, it gets him a little bit closer to those phase boots, which are so necessary for Mirana in the laning phase, because you kind of, you don't have a whole lot of damage, but you can see Miguel. That was a blind arrow, by the way. That was just a beautiful arrow that he threw down. I don't believe the invis from Theta. Maybe it spied it. Maybe we just missed Theta's invis being able to spy out the Chen, but either way, that was just a really good play by Miguel. Finds it out with the arrow, and from there, it's just a short follow-up with Starstorm. But he's going to go again on middle.
4 roared. There's the arrow coming out of the woodwork, and S4 caught out and well executed. And again, that's going to be Theta's job. I mean, in terms of prioritizing targets, yes, Loda is a good one for him, just depending on who's the bigger threat, though. And for the early stage of this game, it's going to be all about S4 while Loda continues to find his farm. So a very, very good kill there on mid. Did not prevent him from finding his level 6. In fact, he's almost level 8 now, as are both heroes. But still, just being able to derail a Storm Spirit a little bit, disjoint what is usually going to be that Orchid into BKB build, just buys you time to get this Riki into shape. And speaking of, Ricky's not level 6 yet. He's got his Orb of Venom, he's got his Treads, but he's got some ground to make up. Sitting in the middle of the pack in terms of CS, he is on par with Loda, roughly 22-26. And to tell you the truth, that's pretty damn impressive. He's been facing enfeeble harassment all freaking lanes so far, and he still managed to keep on par in terms of CS. Well played there by Paris.
Yeah, it's something that he's he's had to deal with a lot of harassment, not just in that enfeeble, but also just occasionally Lifestealer going forward and actually trying to use that open wounds to get aggressive on this Riki. So Paris is doing a really good job so far. Saksha is a proven carry player that has a lot of experience. So I'm interested to see how they're going to run this in the mid game. Now, something that they have right now is oh, okay. Bulldog, I don't know if Bulldog's serious. All right.
Bulldog is troll.
He's a master
Bulldog
troll.
has become the biggest freaking troll,
did you see
man.
him
He was
earlier,
always
though?
a pretty
In
big
the lobby,
troll.
he was like,
Yeah.
guys, get in your actual names.
Jeez, gosh. But,
Jeez, what a professional that guy is.
Yeah, Bulldog's good people. He's good people.
Yeah. But what I would really like about Sigma is with this mid Beastmaster, not only is it good counter to Lifestealer, but the vision that they're granted is really, really important from this Hawk. Like situations like what happened in this bottom lane with the Chen First Blood. You know, being able to use that Hawk to be able to see those kind of advances, Alliance moving around the map, and vision is so important versus a Storm Spirit and that Lifestealer combo as well. I mean, you're going to see some Nakes bombing, so you want to be able to see it ahead of time. So they've got some really good ganking heroes, and mixed in with the vision that Sigma is going to have all game long, even if their wards get countered, you still have that advantage with your Hawk, that I see Sigma being able to just constantly pick off Alliance over and over and over again. The question is, can they pretty much shut down Alliance enough with all those continual pickoffs and snowball heavily enough to be able to counteract what is Bulldog's free farm right now?
Yeah, and speaking of Bulldog's free farm, we see he's already got a Glove of Haste up on the Bear. Plus phase boots. He's off to a good enough start. He's confident to go Midas in this situation, and I think that speaks volumes. He's sitting at top, not just in CS, but you know, whenever you talk about early lane CS, that can be a little deceptive sometimes, depending on how much of it's lane creeps, how much of it's jungle creeps, and so on and so forth. But he's definitely ahead in GPM. 377 GPM for right now, 350 roughly for S4 out of mid, and then a grab bag underneath that. Theta's doing quite well, keeping right on pace in this mid lane, and it's roughly even, or at least it was, for Riki and Lifestealer, loaded now a little bit higher in GPM, though we are still very early on in this game. But a 2-0 advantage right now for Sigma, so I mean, they're not in terrible shape. It has been another quiet early game, but a 1,500 gold lead already in play at this moment, just for Alliance without a single tower down. So whenever you're talking about that kind of gold lead, this is nothing but efficiency lead at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And it all comes down to the laning decision coming out from Alliance. It's just what pretty much set them up for success. In the beginning, looking at it, dual lanes, very, very strong, and I was really, really concerned for Alliance, but all because they decided to run aggressive. But at bottom, we actually have S4 trying to jump in with haste.
Looking for that first shot route. Admiral Bulldog, for once, doesn't find that first hit route. Seems like the guy he has a route button. They patched his lone route and only his. But Mirana's Moonlight Shadow getting the job done. We saw Loda was actually forced to rage and back all the way to his tower. So the aggressive potential of Sigma is already showing itself, although at this point, Alliance in this bottom lane, again, this is kind of what I worried about for Sigma and made mention of it. We even see Miggle forced back now, having the Aphotic Shield popped. They just can't send one hero down here and hope to do anything the Lone Druid with Ake in the jungle. They have to commit more personnel, but of course if they do that, they're freeing up Loda, they're freeing up S4, so they've got some hard decisions to make, but they need to make a decision soon. This game is getting a little bit out of hand. Again, 2,000 gold lead at this point for Alliance, and they're behind in kills and gave up First Blood. That's a huge efficiency lead. This laning phase is not a status quo they want to maintain.
Yeah, what Sigma are really lacking right now is the fact that they picked up the Abaddon, they picked up the Shadow Demon, and those heroes were supposed to give them safety in lanes, but it might be just a little bit too much safety. Like, they're not actually being able to be aggressive enough to find, you know, extra bit of farm. Like, if they had something like a Crystal Maiden, you know, for example, they'd actually be able to counter the jungle of Chen. But right now, Ake is playing a huge part of being able to get that gigantic golden experience lead on Alliance right now. And Sigma are trying to make up for that by trying to gank heavily. Like, you already see Paris, he hits level 6 and immediately moves to middle, but S4 knew exactly what was going to happen. All it takes is him getting range of Beastmaster. He was going to get roared, and he knew either an arrow was going to come in or the Rikimaru was going to be able to throw down that smoke, and they would just easily clean up Storm Spirit, since he's such a squishy hero when he's disabled like that. So S4 is playing very, very safe right now. He learned his lesson from the first time he got ganked from that Beastmaster ultimate. He's going to be playing really, really passive in lane for the rest of the time.
You can see once again rotating 2 back to top. They, as you mentioned, they try to gank in mid. We see that Phaeton has picked up a Blink Dagger, so that's going to give them a bit more of an opportunity here, but they're just losing so much ground every minute that goes by. I mean, they brought 3 heroes to mid, left Loda alone, and now look at his CS compared to Ricky's, 46 to 33. Ricky beginning to fall behind in that regard. Loda's level 7.5. Ricky, I'm not even sure where he is at this point. He's in mid and just now hit level 7. There's the Midas stun on Druid. Here we go. Phaeton, this is a big time for them. They need to make this play. Roar on the Bulldog. They're going to try to follow it with an arrow. There's a Starfall. And he got a root, though, and he's just going to turn around and go to work. Yep, and that's the problem you have. The reaction was there. Loda's there. Here comes the Storm Spirit. S4 spent every bit of his mana trying to catch a target out. But at the very least, they have forced the reaction out of Alliance, and now with Paris rotating through on the Ricky, going to look to get a pick off Loda. Don't know that's the target he wants to go on, and yeah, he's just going to cruise on by, give him a slap on the ass on his way back to his teammates. But Bulldog, definitely, again, the target of choice. They don't have any vision right now, no dust, and they're going to miss with the arrow. The Cloud went down. Disruption onto Loda. Now they're going to reinitiate, and Pos in trouble. Will be brought down very quickly. Behind that, Miggle forced to run, and this early game is turning into a true disaster at the moment for Sigma. We even see, yeah, just look at Ricky doing very little damage. He just shrugged it off. The bear did not get a root once again, and Miggle going to spin his face, but they're just going to chase it. Looking for a root. Will he find it? Nope. Going to be resummoned back. But yeah, they forced a reaction, but in exchange, they gave up a free kill, and once again, Bulldog survives.
Yeah, the problem is these heroes are just too tanky for them to be able to deal with. Pre-level 6, Lone Druid is actually a very squishy target versus any of this combo. Shadow Demon Riki is actually a really powerful combo against that. But once he hits that level 6, he's so tanky that you honestly can't deal with him. Middle, they're actually going to go on S4.
This is a good pick for them if they can secure it. The Cloud goes down in good time. Lifestealer was there. Now he's going to re-engage, try to catch Ricky. Great Fiend's Grip on EGM, rotating and teleporting into the trees. Honestly, that's a win for Alliance. I mean, being able to bring down the Storm is fine, but when you give up Ricky, a hero who has to snowball, who does not play well from behind whatsoever, in exchange for an S4 Storm Spirit who's already off to a fairly good start, and number 2 on the CS chart, that's definitely a win for Alliance.
Yeah, Alliance are doing such a good job playing defensively right now. And the problem with this is that Sigma are depending so heavily on these pickoffs that as long as Alliance actually stay near these tier 1 towers, they play passively, they're going to be fine because they're never going to lose map control via pushes. Like, Sigma don't have that power. They have the ability to pick off and then try and push in, but that's only with the numbers advantage. So what Sigma have to do, they have to find the pickoffs, but Alliance realized that, and they're just playing it really, really passively, and Sigma are just wasting so much time trying to find those pickoffs that they have to have that they end up falling behind more and more in golden experience, which means those pickoffs that they do find are getting harder and harder to get. You've got 2 different pretty tanky heroes, and then Chen and Bane are both very defensive supports as well, that both have played their part in being able to save a hero once or twice.
Bucking Mad and Phaeton under cover of smoke make this a 5-man team down at bottom. They need a tower. They cannot afford to lose too much here. If they can get a pick, that's great. They really need this tower. The rest of Alliance, yeah, they're just going to bail. And Ake has a TP of his own, will not be found. He's going to make it out. They're just going to trade tier 1s, and this is just classic Alliance play. Rotating your 2 big pushers here to mid, and just taking a run at it. Now they're forcing a reaction out of Sigma. Sigma, basically what we said during the draft as soon as we saw these lineups come together, is Sigma could not afford to be out of control of the game. They needed to control the pace of the game. They needed to control the flow of the game. And already they're being forced to react. And they're not even really able to push as well as Alliance can. Alliance has yet to pop their glyph, and they will just let it drop for free. In the meantime, the tier 1 mid does still stand. I'm a little surprised Alliance didn't commit more heavily to that. Instead, though, rotating up to top, and now they might have a chance to make a run at Bucking Mad. But with Moonlight Shadow there, it could get complicated. Here comes S4. He's going to make a run in. Paris is going to land. S4 has that haste rune up. We'll be able to scurry to safety. Paris going to be careful. He just walked right into that. Sentry goes down. Here comes Bulldog. The Aphotic Shield, enough to ward him out. Nice roar, catching Bulldog. Phaeton catching him in the back. If they can get him here, it'd be a big win. Shem blows the heal. Miggle doesn't have the damage. Is going in. Nope, never mind. The Aphotic Shield bring him down so they get at least one. EGM Nightmares himself behind that, Bucking Mad, scurrying away from S4. They do manage to get a return kill as Loda erupts out following the infest. It's 1 for 1 so far, and Loda picking up his Yasha. Will be a Phase Drums Yasha build, and Loda might get caught here. Axes up in 3 seconds. Yep, they do manage to get him. Abaddon there. to clean it up with the help
Dire's
of a
middle
Photic
tower
Shield.
is under attack.
And Sigma getting a very big
Radiant's
win, but now they
bottom
need to
tower is
translate it.
under
They got a
attack.
free tier 1, didn't cost them anything. Let's see if they want to push on through here.
Yeah, meanwhile, Ake, he's not really a hero that can adjust from going bottom all the way to that top lane. So instead, he does the smart thing. He just goes middle, pushes in, and now he's threatening a tier 2. They know they can't get much out of this, and that's always been the problem of Chen, is he's so stationary as a support that you really have to read the game so well to actually constantly be in a good position to help your team. But still, I mean, he threw down that ultimate. It helped Alliance a little bit, kept heroes alive for a little bit longer. It just comes down to the fact that Abaddon right now is a pretty big force on a lot of these early skirmishes. That heal and the Aphotic Shield play such a big turnaround, especially for when situations like Paris getting caught by the dust, all of a sudden you throw down that shield, and not only is he no longer disabled, he's no longer dusted up either. But they're going to go again.
Right. And we can see here in mid, Phaethon, Miggle. Phaethon already under cover of an invis. Alliance hanging up, and here at top, Loda able to make it away. Looks like he was engaged upon. But, yep, there's another roar on the S4 in mid. Sacred Arrow's on the mark, and they're making it work for him. EGM does get off the sleep. And the Fiend's Grip under his own tower. Miggle does not have a Sacred Arrow, only so much he can do. Just do what damage you can. Brain Sap, not enough to clean him up. EGM does heal himself up, though. Here comes Ake, has a bunch of creeps in tow, but not quick enough to catch up with Miggle, who phases his way to safety. So now we're going to see him stomped following a Ned, but he does have help behind him. The Axe is doing a bit of damage and forcing Alliance back. In the meantime, Paris has been engaged at top, but will be able to make it away safely as Loda has no detection on him and no sentries around. So a trade here and there. Sigma does get another good kill under their belt, make it 3-6. But the problem is, and this is, we talk about this as casters all the time, but it's really being exemplified right now. Whenever you look at the map, in terms of tower lead, it's actually dead even. But when you look at the gold, Alliance's efficiency, what they were able to get out of their early laning phase, and what they're able to do now, translated to the ability to dodge fights, to trade even, etc. They're up to 5,000 gold lead as we approach the 18-minute mark.
Yeah, and it looks like Alliance are going to go for the kill at top as well.
At the top, Loda trying to catch up with him. They got him with the dust. Brain Sap's there. Another kill. No. Nice disruption from Poss. Let's see if it's enough to buy time. And Paris will not be able to make it away as S4's there to clean it up. Now the roar on the EGM, so they do manage to trade. Loda, though, thinking about re-engaging. There's the Aphotic Shield, though, purging off the open wounds. And bucking mad, showing the strength of that hero. Loda will go ahead and rage, and he got way too far forward. Might have forgotten there was a Chin there as well as S4. The open wounds are there, and that'll be another kill going the way of Alliance. There's not enough real damage here. Miggle shot the Sacred Arrow, still on cooldown at the moment. Might be able to track down S4 or Loda if they really commit themselves, but nope, they will connect with the Sacred Arrow. Miggle, though, needs help from the Abaddon to make his way out. Nice stomp following the net, catching out Miggle. Don't have the damage, though, as Mistcoil heals him back up. Loda rages his way back to safety, still eating a little bit of right-click damage. But now with EGM teleporting in, EGM does have a Fiend's Grip ready to go if he wants to. Problem, though, Admiral Bulldog said, yeah, that tier 2 tower, that's not there anymore.
It's just as simple, like they focused so long in this on this team fight, they didn't even come out on top of the team fight. Is the worst part. Sigma forced this kind of fight, and it was going on 5v4 for a lot of times, and Lone Druid just cleaning up a lot of the map. And again, Alliance taking more and more gold out of this map that Sigma are just not finding in their hero kills. They just don't have enough. Alliance won the laning phase, and now they have their basic stat items up high enough that they can easily just fight despite the disadvantage of Sigma pretty much countering a lot of their heroes. But it all comes back down to Rikimaru. Like, Riki right now has Treads, Orb of Venom, and that's it. Like, that is no damage on a Riki. You expect this here, especially with the buff he received in the past, now 1.25 damage up on agility backstab. You expect him to be hitting a lot harder, but these are very tanky heroes, and he doesn't have the farm. He doesn't have any extra agility to talk about, so he's just not really bursting down heroes fast enough.
Yeah. As you said, picking up the Bracer, no agility build. His damage right now pretty damn abysmal, especially against targets like Loda, who already have an Ogre Club to go with a set of drums, so they're beginning to get much bigger HP pools. You talk about the way he's going to try to match up with the Lone Druid. Not very effective. But speaking of the Lone Druid, I really like the adjustment Bulldog made. I mean, whenever you talk about early push or wanting to get an early item that can just swing a fight against a team composition like this, like Sigma is drafted, you know, everyone assumes Radiance, as did we. but we see he's actually gotten the Maelstrom. This means he's going to be able to start coming to fights a little bit earlier. He's going to be able to push a little bit faster when Sigma has to commit, and that's something maybe we haven't really talked enough about. Whenever you look at what's at this phase of the game, now past 20 minutes, Sigma can't just rely on 1 and 2 man gank squads. It's not going to work when they've already fallen this far behind. They're now in a position where they have to 5-man. So Bulldog has the option of saying, well, my team can hold, they can rat, they can dodge, whatever. Well, I'll just go solo push a lane like we saw him do and take out the tier 2 mid. Or I can show up to fight and I can actually contribute a lot more even though I don't have the 3,800 gold for a relic quite as quickly.
Yeah, it's something that pretty much I've always kind of described Maelstrom as the poor man's Battle Fury, and that it's actually more combat effective because of the lightning, but they're going to go on mid, actually.
Bulldog, here comes S4 counter-initiating. Miguel caught out, and he will pop Moonlight Shadow. Bulldog's still up and fighting at the moment. Can they track him down? Ricky diving him hard. Let's see if he'll pay the price. He very well may. And do they have the damage? It's close. Yeah, they should be able to get him by the time all's said and done, and they do. So they end up trading 2 for 1, and even though it's a very high-value kill on Bulldog, they end up giving away 2 high-value kills of their own in the Ricky and the Mirana. So 9-7, Sigma maintains the kill lead, but once again, these trades just favoring Alliance. And yeah, over the last 4 or 5 minutes alone, Alliance is now built just about a 3,000 gold lead. They're on their way to a 5-digit lead. And as we've talked about, hang on, EGM actually might find another kill. And as he's able to Fiend's Grip, bucking mad, and Borrowed Time's popped. He's going to Nightmare him while Borrowed Time expires. So the Aphotic Shield not going to be enough. S4 actually finds himself a kill elsewhere. Looks like he was able to jump upon Phaetos Beastmaster. And yeah, I think it's safe to say, my friend, the wheels have officially come off the wagon. Now a 10,000 gold lead for Alliance. And honestly, I don't know that we're super far from a GG.
Yeah, honestly, there's not much progression in this strategy now from Sigma. Once they're this far behind, Rikimaru is not a hero who plays from behind at all. He needs to be able to be way out ahead and be getting that extra gold from constant hero kills, because he's not a hero who just sits back and farms in lane. And he's not going to really be able to make a big comeback. Nice deny, though, by Paris. Sitting there in Viz just waiting for that last hit. Well done, but it's not going to add much for Sigma.
Well, let's put it this way. When you're having to deny your tier 3s at 22 minutes, yeah, it's a well done, but it's a very qualified well done. And Alliance just taking the tier 3, not going to overcommit, playing very safe and very patient. They actually focus the ranged racks instead of the melee racks, so that damage is permanent. But check that. Fake back as they do lock and load. S4 with a passenger. Follow Ake. As spotted out Pos. Here we go. Jumping right on top of him. And there used to be a hero there. He's now a puddle of ketchup. Bucking mad next on the list. Here comes the arrow, though. That's going to catch S4. Paris able to blink strike his way to safety, but Miguel caught by that root. Aphotic Shield buys some time. Don't think it'll buy him much else. Bucking mad next on the list. That's 3 down. This is going to be a set of free racks. And yeah, the only thing that, S4 will be roared actually. No, Nightmare. Beautiful play by EGM, and turning it right around as Phaetos becomes the hat trick for S4, dropping following a couple of excellent plays by EGM. That's a full 5-man wipe. That's a GG as we watch the racks fall. So less than 24 minutes, my friend. I'll tell you what, maybe Alliance, I don't know that they needed a vacation, but it looks like it might have done them some good.
Yeah, they are looking in very, very good form, especially against a very unique strategy like this. Sigma, they tried something, and I think it kind of fell apart. Like, again, that last pick of Lone Druid just changed everything so dramatically, because then it allowed them to be able to prioritize a hero, a carry hero, other than Lifestealer. And that was so important, because Lifestealer and Storm Spirit were both pretty heavily countered by those really good disables coming out from Sigma. They had all the strong initiations to be able to counter both of those cores, but then came in the Admiral Bulldog Lone Druid, and what do you do about that? It's just, they didn't have the lane set up to be able to deal with it. They didn't have the ganking power. And Alliance played it perfectly. They didn't split up a whole lot. They stayed grouped up as a 4-man core while Lone Druid was split pushing. They just stayed really, really controlled and passive and didn't get too crazy, and that's all it took. Sigma just couldn't find the openings they needed against some of these tanky heroes mixed in with very defensive supports, and they just ended up pretty much falling apart.